All right, good luck. Let me now bring in Professor Kobby Mensah. And Professor, what I want to find out from you is, do you think this is a strategy in terms of the NPP taking their time to announce a running mate, or is it just a matter of preparedness?
Right. Thank you, City, for the question. I think if it's a strategy, then it's a wrong strategy. I mean, my colleagues have actually, articulated. When it comes to political strategy, you can either backload or front load, depending on the situation. So the political market is very dynamic. You want to read, the signs. But let me tell you the reason why I agree with, Dr. Makuba and my good friend, Dr. Asasante. Now, in the political system, especially in the electoral cycle, usually three activities are actually conducted, major activities. One is the formation of the manifesto committee. Two, you're talking about the formation of the campaign team. And then, of course, you have the announcement of the vice presidential candidate. That is when the presidential candidate had been chosen. Now, in most cases, and you can check on our records, the vice presidential candidate should be announced or is announced in order that their team can actually be part of the two other teams, which is the manifesto committee and the campaign team. The vice presidential team must be part of that. The vice president must be, the nominee must also be part of these particular teams. You have announced the two manifesto committee, you have announced campaign team with no vice president. And that's why Dr. Makuba is saying, what is that person coming to do then? Because that person is supposed to be part and parcel of the manifesto. Granted that perhaps all of these people who are on the list are actually part of the manifesto committee going for it anyway. Maybe we don't know. But the public must know because there's a perceived chemistry. All right? There's what we call perceived chemistry. So even if you have been working with these people over a period of time, and so you know them, and so you have a chemistry with them, what about the people's knowledge of a chemistry between the two of you? From the voters' perspective, we don't know that. And so the perceived chemistry, whether there's chemistry or not, it's very important because if we don't see that there is a working chemistry between the candidate and the vice candidate, what is going to happen is any small thing, we're going to read meanings into it because we're going to say, there is no chemistry between them. They can't work together. But in actual fact, perhaps you can work together. But then we haven't actually seen that length of, harmonization between the two of you. So for me, if it's a strategy, it's a very terrible strategy because you cannot backload when you have a political system like that. One, the party is not popular. Two, the candidate is not popular. You need a vice candidate, perhaps, who can smoothen, which Dr. Makuba actually said. When you falter, the vice candidate actually picks you up. You're supposed to have a vice candidate that is complementary to you in terms of policy positions, because not all policy is your strong suit. Maybe you are very strong in economy, but not in energy. So your vice candidate can actually mop you up there. But you don't have that, and you're doing all by yourself. I think it's a very terrible strategy if it was a strategy. But I think it's an indication of the division in the party and the lack of assertiveness of the presidential candidate. I have said it time and again, if a presidential candidate can be toyed around by certain party chairmen, perceived power brokers, how could you actually meet, Vladimir Putin, for example, at a global, a geopolitical discussions? I mean, you do not have the assertiveness to meet very egoistic, world leaders if you cannot manage your own internal party people.